Pretty far away. Today's meeting of the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System is now called to order. Carol, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barry Busada, Mr. Davison,
Here.
Mr. Furby, Mr. Hogan, Mr. Jackson, Ms. Lampkin, Dr. Leatherman, present, Mr. Myers, Mr. Perkins, Mr. Peterson, Ms. Pierre, Mr. Romero,
Here.
Ms. Russell, Mr. Salim,
Here.
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
Ms. Stokes. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Carol. I've asked President Gallo to lead us in our invocation and be followed by Supervisor Emily Lampkin. She'll lead us in the pledge.
Bow with me. Oh, just thank you for today. We thank you for the assembly of the University of Louisiana system to with all of our campus leadership and representatives there here. So we lift up especially our newest board member, Supervisor Furby. We just ask to bless him, protect him, watch over his family. Thank him in advance for the good sacrifice of time and service to our students and to our Lord. We just ask that you bless everything that's done here today. That you can reveal service and for the benefit of our students. Obviously, that's what we say. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we're happy to welcome a newly appointed board member, Mr. Ryan Furby. It's an honor to have him join our board. I trust that his service will be devout. He'll be a steady, prepared member, and I know that he'll provide good leadership and guidance to all of us and to the work that we're doing to support universities in our system. He was recently appointed by Governor Landry. He does have some big shoes to fill. Supervisor Noble, who we all remember with a warm heart, did a very good job, and we look forward to seeing Ryan's service follow. And I would at this time ask Honorable Judge David Joseph to provide or administer your oath.
Take a point of privilege to by the board members by accepting the line of your group who are someone who brings a lot of effort, a lot of work, and brings a lot of talent. So, I personally commend this to you. Ryan, please raise your right hand. I, Ryan A. Furby, I'm running this group. Do solemnly swear, I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, so support the laws of the Constitution and the Constitution and laws of this state and the Constitution of the United States. And I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Board of Supervisors of the University of Louisiana. According to the best of my ability and understanding, according to the will of God. Help me God.
Thank you again, Your Honor, for providing the ceremony this morning, and congratulations, Ryan, and welcome. And if you would, at this time, I'd ask you please address the board and the audience.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve. I know that I do have big shoes to fill. I've heard that many times, especially from my friends in Southwest Louisiana and those who represent McNeese, which I think is an incredible part of the system. I'm in Lafayette, which I am also very proud to be a part of that system. My grandparents met at UL. It's the reason I live in Lafayette. And of course, I have family and friends who have attended almost every university in the system. So thank you. Glad to serve, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Moving on to the business at hand, we have minutes provided to you from the June 25th meeting. If I could have a motion and second for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Stevens,
Second.
second by Pierre. Any questions, discussion, questions from the public? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. If anyone wishes to make a public comment during this meeting, please, on an item that's listed on the agenda, please complete a public comment card and provide that card to one of the UL staff members. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Except for receiving a report from the grievance committee that met this morning, we will meet as a committee of the whole and will need a motion as well to proceed in that manner. Could I have a motion and a second to proceed as committee of the whole?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Stevens, second by Joe Leatherman. Any questions, comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. At this time, we'll receive a report from Dr. Leatherman leading the grievance committee. Dr. Leatherman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The grievance committee met earlier this morning to consider the appeal filed by Dr. Patricia Lanier, a faculty member with the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Members of the committee received all pertinent documents, listened to testimony provided by Dr. Lanier, and considered information provided by university representatives. The committee determined that the appropriate process was followed by UL Lafayette and that no further action is necessary regarding Dr. Lanier's grievance specifically. However, the grievance committee did discuss leave and recommends to the board a review of the admin leave policy be reviewed across all campuses for consistency. Right. May I have a motion and a second to accept the grievance committee's decision? Okay, moved by Supervisor Pierre, second by Supervisor Davidson. Are there any questions, comments from the members of the board? Any from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved.
Thank you, Dr. Leatherman. No further business from the committee? Thank you. This time, Mr. Stevens will address items that are provided on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee agenda.
Members, we have 2 action items on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee agenda. Dr. Jenny O'Rourke, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, will provide the report. Dr. O'Rourke.
Yes, good morning, Supervisor Stevens, Chair Romero, President Gallo, members of the board. We do have items, 2 items for your consideration today. Agenda item F1 is the board's annual consideration of promotion and faculty rank and tenure for the upcoming academic year, actually the current academic year. This year's 95 faculty members were recommended for promotion and rank, with 80 recommended for tenure. All requests were reviewed by UL system staff and determined to be in accordance with system policies. Agenda item F2, which is your final item, is approval of the academic year 2026 through 2029 academic planning documents for our 8 member institutions. In 2022, the Louisiana Board of Regents implemented a comprehensive 3-year academic planning process for all 2- and 4-year public institutions across the state of Louisiana. The master list of proposed programs for the UL system provided to you today has been thoroughly reviewed and discussed amongst our 8 chief academic officers, as well as with Board of Regents staff in advance of today's presentation. You will see for the first time several proposed accelerated baccalaureate degrees on the list. This program option was approved by the Board of Regents in April of 2026. And this particular degree program is a 3-year, 90-hour degree program that includes a significant number of general education core courses, along with a specialized curriculum developed in collaboration with industry partners and focused on high-demand career fields. Today, each chief academic officer will briefly highlight the academic programs his or her institution plans to pursue in year 1. This will give the board an overview of what's to come over the next year, and so you can understand what the basic setting the stage for what you'll be hearing over the next 11 months. So we might need to pivot a little bit. We're going to skip over Grambling first, just because Dr. Walton can't be cloned and she has to be at 2 places at one time, which is always the way it works out. So if we can move forward with Louisiana Tech, and we'll hold Grambling to the end.
Good morning. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you all the programming that is planned for Louisiana Tech. I believe you have the list for 3 years, but we are only this morning going to present to you the one program that we intend to add in the next academic year, which is a Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology. This is a program that will align very well with a PhD program that we already have in counseling psychology. And so that will allow us to efficiently use the faculty that we already have and the facilities that we have. It will also allow the students who enter this program to be able to provide services to our university and to our community for mental health services that are much needed in an area that we don't have a lot of mental health resources. And so this will be a 2-year master's program. And yeah, I'll take any questions if anyone has them. Okay.
McNeese State University, Dr. Buckles.
Good morning. You have the list of what we are proposing over the next 3 years, but today for the first year in the academic planning period for this cycle, we would like to propose for your consideration an accelerated bachelor's in what we are titling teacher education, and we do so knowing the complexity of that request. So, but we are doing so to address an acute teacher shortage in our region. And we have done and continue to do everything within our education unit to educate and provide teachers in the pipeline for our school boards. As an example, our 3-year average of graduates from our collective programs in education has run around 35, 36 students this past year, with a combination of increased recruitment, attention to recruitment and retention. We graduated 50 students. So, but in speaking with our school boards, the leadership in our 5-parish area, is that, for example, so, you know, we graduated 50 students in our largest parish. They typically have 200 openings plus each year. And so most of those candidates that are working as teachers in our largest parish and our surrounding parishes are come from other paths, non-education degrees, and pursuing a alternative pathway for education. But our leadership in our school boards consistently tell us that they prefer the candidate that has gone through a teacher education pathway because they are ready on day one. So this is our effort in addition to recruitment and retention, is also to have that pipeline move quicker for our school districts. So, and also too, this is what I'll use a term, stackable. So we're ready. And again, knowing the complexity of this ask is that we can pivot in many different ways according to the needs of the state. However, this may be viewed or approached in the future. But we have an associate's degree that we can, along the way, that a student could earn through this accredited bachelor's. Once employed after receiving the accelerated bachelor's, they could seamlessly work toward the 4-year baccalaureate degree in education fairly easy because all of the education coursework, the competencies would be done at that point. So, and also too, for our students, increasingly, we're finding that it's a stretch. It's difficult for them during their residency year, and it just simply finances having to call back, any jobs they may have because the residency is essentially a full-time job for many of our students. And yes, they do, and we're thankful they get a stipend from our districts, but it's just simply not enough to live on. So our students would have the opportunity to earn a paycheck much sooner and work towards certification. So toward a 4-year degree. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity to present that. And both my education dean, Dr. Robichaux, and I, we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Buckles.
Okay, thank you.
And Nicholls State University?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At Nicholls State University. Okay. At Nicholls State University, we are proposing one new program in the next academic year, and that is an accelerated bachelor's program in information technology. Across the Bayou region, there is a hunger for information technology workers right now across healthcare institutions, within shipping empires, major and minor industries, and firms. And what this degree would do is prepare those IT professionals across 90 hours for the core function of what an information technology worker needs to do in the workforce. Currently, we have a computer information system baccalaureate program that infuses degrees of management, accounting, and finance, along with the information technology portion of the computer information system degree. That portion is going to be removed. That's the accounting, the finance, the management, so that only the core function is in this degree. Now, it will allow people to enter the workforce much earlier, and they can continue this degree if they do choose to add on that management function so that they can grow in that role. And those courses will be able to be completed through the Nicholls online program, which is a 100% online platform. But there's kind of a bigger utilitarian purpose to this degree as well. Nicholls has a very healthy and very functional Bridge to Independence program that has 2 tracks. One is a certificate program for those that have profound issues, and it teaches them life skills so that they can get entry-level jobs. But there's also a degree pathway for those on the autism spectrum disorder scale. Those students, a very significant number of those students, do choose CIS as a pathway because they enjoy the interaction with the computers. However, the finance, the accounting, and even some of the management course principles do present a challenge to them. So by creating this 90-hour degree, it allows us to retain those degree path students for Bridge to Independence, provide them with an education, and get them into a workforce that does provide a sustainable income for them as they make their way through life. So we do envision that it will have a healthy enrollment. We do not envision that it will take away from the 4-year computer information system degree. And of course, the beauty of it is the courses exist, the faculty exist, so it's a no to low cost implementation as we dip our toes into the 3-year accelerated bachelor's degree. Any questions? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I understand Dr. Walton's in the audience. Here you are. If we can go ahead and move the slide back to Grambling, I'd appreciate that. Dr. Walton's earning her keep this morning.
Yeah. Good morning. So we have, in year one, we will be seeking approval of the Doctor of Nursing Practice, the DNP. As you're aware, the accrediting body for nursing is no longer recognizing the MSN as the terminal degree. They're recognizing the DNP as the degree that's needed if someone wants to teach in nursing programs. So the focus of our DNP program is going to be community health. It will be different from DNPs that may be developed by ULM or neighboring universities. We will utilize existing faculty. As the program grows, we will add new faculty as needed. Also during this year, we will be proposing the MS in Advanced Cybersecurity. So as you're aware, we have a cybersecurity bachelor's degree program that is robust, healthy. Our students are in high demand. We're also a part of the Louisiana Cyber Academy program, where our students can earn certifications that are embedded in courses. So our bachelor's degree program will be a feeder program for our MS in Advanced Cybersecurity. We also, by being a part of the Louisiana Cyber Academy, a number of our alums came back and completed those courses. So we would imagine that we will also have a good pipeline of students and existing students at Grambling State University, our alum, and individuals who are working in the field who want a more advanced degree. Initially, we will not need new faculty, but as this program grows, we will add additional faculty. All right, just think you're on right. Okay, any question?
I do have one question about the DNP. So is it the traditional postmasters or is it a BSN, a DNP bridge that some universities are developing?
Right. So we are, according to our nursing program, we're going to keep the MSN program, right? The nurse practitioner program, but there is going to be a pathway for those individuals who want to go on to the DNP, as well as a pathway for the BSN students to go to the DNP.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll get back in alpha order. Northwestern State University.
Good morning. Northwestern State University is proposing 2 graduate degrees in the upcoming academic year. The School of STEM at Northwestern State University is proposing a Master of Science degree in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, which is designed to bridge graduate and undergraduate program and education with advanced technical training and workforce development. This interdisciplinary program will equip students with the expertise necessary to address complex real-world problems through a multidisciplinary STEM curriculum, combined with work-based learning experience and pedagogy. The program is specifically designed to serve the Natchitoches-Lehigh region that includes rural parishes such as Bienville, Red River, Sabine, Natchitoches, and Wynne, as well as more urban areas such as Grant and Rapides parishes. Though not included in the Natchitoches labor region, NSU also hosts a large student population from the Shreveport-Bossier area, as well as Louisiana and East Texas, representing a broad cross-section of the region's future workforce. The Natchitoches labor region presents a distinct workforce development needs in key STEM-driven sectors, including timber and wood products, agribusiness, environmental technologies, and advanced manufacturing. The proposed STEM degree is specifically designed to address those needs through a focus on applied research and work-based learning experiences. Students would be required to select one of 5 concentrations that align with workforce priorities, including environmental science, data science and artificial intelligence, material science, integrative biology, and applied engineering. Each graduate student will complete a graduate level project in partnership with a local industry, agency, or community organization. And the curriculum will ensure that their work aligns with regional priorities that enhance intellectual capital and creates new opportunities for STEM faculty to engage in applied research. The School of STEM has secured a work-based learning education grant that supports undergraduate student work with a regional partner and additional scholarship funds for vet tech students to work with Friends All United for Natchitoches Animals, which is our local grassroots animal welfare organization. Over $200,000 for graduate student scholarship and stipends in support of the STEM program have been secured through private donors as well as the Cane River Waterway Commission, which aims to fund graduate student stipends to work alongside working professionals to address challenges related to integrative biology, environmental science, wildlife, and Cane River watershed. The School of Business proposes the establishment of a Master of Business Administration degree. It is designed to meet the evolving needs of working professionals, recent graduates, and traditional students, as well as regional business leaders in central Louisiana and beyond. It builds upon our existing AACSB accredited bachelor's degrees in accounting, business administration, and computer information systems, providing a clear and purposeful pathway to advanced graduate study. It will be delivered with 2 complementary formats: in-person classes on the Natchitoches and Shreveport campuses with a synchronous online option where the in-person classes will conduct and connect to online attendees on a WebEx, Teams, or other virtual platform. We designed the MBA program in collaboration with the College of Nursing and School of Allied Health, deliberately with the intent of shared governance for a future proposed Master of Healthcare Administration. The shared courses will allow both programs to share instructional resources, reduce per student instructional costs, and increase graduate enrollment efficiency. Of the 33 credit hours in the program, 18 will be shared across both colleges to address competencies common to both business and healthcare leadership, ensuring academic integrity while maximizing institutional resource utilization. Both of Northwestern's proposed graduate programs for this academic year will include a 4+1 pathway for undergraduate students to earn both their baccalaureate and master's degree in 5 instead of 6 years, reducing total time to completion and total cost. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Skipper from Southeastern.
Thank you, Dr. O'Rourke. Good morning. Southeastern Louisiana University has 3 program proposals for the 2026-2027 year. The accelerated bachelor's degree in business and technology is a 90-hour program that's developed in response to the regional industry demand in our area. It targets workforce needs identified through engagement with major healthcare partners. The proposed accelerated degree provides non-degreed IT and technical personnel with the technical skills, business acumen, and leadership training required to advance in management roles. Built around a flexible framework of stackable credentials, the program creates a clear pathway for working professionals while establishing a pipeline for key employers. This credential prioritizes high demand, high wage, and that is 4- and 5-star state occupations experiencing critical talent shortages They include computer system analysts, network and computer systems administrators, and information security analysts. And this program will leverage existing institutional infrastructure, course offerings, and faculty resources. Also, we have a BS in teaching proposal that will maximize administrative efficiency by consolidating 6 lower enrolled secondary and K-12 degree programs that lack individualized accreditation into a single unified Bachelor of Science in Teaching. This reorganization creates a single program serving 473 students while adapting to evolving state pedagogy standards that emphasize clinical practice alongside content mastery. This framework enables the institution to add specialized concentration tracks without the administrative burden of proposing separate degree programs from scratch. As you know, teaching shortages are real in our state. This program directly supports secondary school teachers, except special and career tech education teachers. By streamlining the path to certification and providing flexible degree infrastructure, the program ensures an adaptable pipeline of qualified educators to fill critical and subject area needs across the state. This program also requires no new infrastructure, course offerings, or faculty costs. And finally, the BS in Teaching General and Special Education degree is similarly being created for curricular efficiency. This would allow consolidating 2 degree programs into 1 degree program, eliminating our low completer special education program, and based on 2026 enrollment, there would be a 24 student enrollment in this degree program. And similarly, this program requires no new infrastructure, no new course offerings, and no new faculty. So I have joining me Dr. Teray Lopez, our Dean of the College of Business, and also Dr. Paula Calderon, Dean of the College of Education, Health, and Human Sciences, in case you have questions about any of these programs. Thank you. Thank you.
Moving toward our last 2 campuses on the list, University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Dr. Olivier?
Good morning. And thank you for allowing us to share our projections for this coming year. I have Dean Lisa Broussard with me from the College of Nursing, and we're excited to share our first program, one of our priorities, which is the BS in Dental Hygiene program. As you are aware, Louisiana faces a severe shortage in terms of dental hygienists, with 86% of our residents living in federally designated dental hygiene professional shortage areas. So we certainly want to fill the need there. We look at over almost 2,000 dental hygienists. We're below the national average significantly. The proposed program aligns with UL Lafayette's mission, our strategic planning priorities, and advances the university's strategic priority 5 of transformational community engagement, and reflects the institution's commitment to actively engage. This program also aligns with the Board of Regents focused on workforce development, dental, digital literacy, accessibility, affordability, and community engagement. We have supported, we will be partnering with the Louisiana Dental Association. There are currently 3 other programs, LSU, NOLA, ULM's School of Allied Health, and LSUA. So we are going to get cooperation with them along with the Louisiana Dental Association. And we thank Annette Jardy for being here with us today. We know that these other programs graduate approximately 70 students per year. And we also realize that that really doesn't meet the needs of the community. So we're excited to be able to contribute. These are 4-star occupations. We do plan on seeking Rural Hero grant funding to help us in the process, but we know working with these other agencies will contribute significantly to the success of the program. In 27, we'll be seeking accreditation, following with our students entering in 28. The second program that we have projected is the Master of Interior Design. This is a very distinct program. It's a first professional pathway, and it's going to be 100% online. The Masters of Interior Design fills a critical gap by providing accessibility for our graduate students from any undergraduate discipline seeking entry into an interior design professional certification, and regulated practice. And it meets the growing workforce demands. There's a unique market position here. We will begin with approximately 15 students and continue to grow by about 20% on an annual basis. It advances the institutional and workforce priorities. It's a proposed STEM designated zip code, and it strengthens our workforce development. We see that moving forward in spring of 2028. There will be 2 tracks for that program. One is a 60 credit hour track for students who already have a bachelor's degree, but without working in an approved advanced standing in interior design, architecture, or closely related professional field. And the other is what we call an advanced standing track, and is designed for students with prior academic preparation in interior design, architecture, or closely related field. And the third program that we are proposing is our Masters of Social Work. This is a 60 credit hour program with over 900 hours, field hours. It will be hybrid, both on campus and online. And we see service in the statewide area. Louisiana continues to project growth in the MSW allied fields, mental health, substance abuse, social working, healthcare social workers, child and family and social working. This particular one, we see our graduates are going to be prepared to go into multiple positions related to behavioral health, child welfare, healthcare, family services, addiction recovery, schools, veterans, and social service administration. We currently have a sociology work concentration that will contribute to the growth in this area. And we are aligned with the Council on Social Work Education. It is a 60-hour program, as we said. That would be the review of the 3 programs. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have. And may I insert one other thing? I know the focus is on the program, but I do want to say that we have 2 areas that we are looking at increasing in certificates, both coming from our engineering field, and we're very excited about that because they truly align with the terrific state news that has just come out, Star-Based Louisiana, and we see that that is going to be an area that we are definitely going to grow in terms of program as well as certification. So we're excited to move there also. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a point, I must say that I commend Dr. Colleru for recognizing that talent comes from St. Martin Parish.
And rounding out the list, last one, best one, as I say, University of Louisiana Monroe.
Speaking of talent from St. Martin Parish.
Good morning. I'm here to present on behalf of the University of Louisiana Monroe. As you can see from the chart on the screen, we have 2 programs identified for year 1. They include the Accelerated Bachelor's in Pharmacology and Toxicology. I want to save the discussion for that one for a second. We also have the MS in Software Development. This is one you're hearing a lot of IT and software and computer and all of that kind of thing. So you understand that there's a lot of need we're hearing about, not only across the nation, across the state, but as well as in our area. So we think this would help meet some of that demand and need that we have in Northeast Louisiana, especially in light of the fact Meta and the related businesses that will be coming to that part of the state. Then I want to focus on the Accelerated Bachelor's. Like others, we are very excited about this one. What we are basically doing with this program is taking our toxicology 4-year program and converting it to the Accelerated Bachelor's, adding that pharmacology piece to it. This has been a collaborative effort across our pharmacy program, toxicology, as well as allied health programs. We've identified a curriculum that provides that basis that allows that student That 90 hours gets them out into the workforce. They have relevant skills for healthcare fields to work in a variety of fields with that accelerated bachelor's. However, part of this also is the fact that for our pharmacy program, students come in as pre-pharm majors. So they're not really even in the pharmacy program yet. They're taking that core foundational work to get ready for it and then hoping to be admitted and things like that. So we are not going to have the pre-pharm majors. They will go automatically into this accelerated bachelor's program. Then if they do apply and they are admitted into the pharmacy program, they meet all the requirements for that. They have a clear pathway to switch from that accelerated bachelor's into the pharmacy program. Additionally, not only that, they've got that background, that core foundation, if they want to complete the 3-year or if they want to move out of it and into one of our health-related professional programs. As you know, at ULM, we have a strong healthcare focus, including programs in DPT, speech language pathology, dental hygiene, nursing, occupational therapy, and I could go on and on. So this gives a clear pathway for these students. They come in, they're Pharm Tox majors, they can complete in 3 years, have work opportunity, or they can convert over to one of the other professional healthcare related programs. So they're always on a path to something, no matter what they're doing at that point in time. We've had growth in our pharmacy program recently. We're very proud of that. Our allied health programs, for the most part, are maxing out. So that's very good for us as well. That means the demand is there, the need is there, and the student desire to pursue those programs is there as well. So we think this provides a very clear path for them. I also want to mention to finish up that we've been getting some resources dedicated to those programs and to the students in those programs. For instance, CVS scholarships are coming through to help pharmacy majors. So that gives them another bridge to get to that type of scholarship to help them complete that degree. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I have a question. So for students entering the accelerated pharmacology and toxicology, and they want to transition into a pharmacy, I guess it's Pharm D.
D.
Yeah. So what would be the total time, you would anticipate?
So really, probably at the end of the 2 years, they could then make that leap instead of staying with the 90-degree program if they choose to do so, and they qualify and are admitted. So 2 years, they could jump over to Pharm D, but they could complete in that 3-year, have that accelerated bachelor's, and perhaps by then they've now qualified in some way with GPA, whatever, to then go into it. So again, it's just giving them that pathway no matter what to get in.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I'm sure, like I've heard, we heard need, demand. And so I would certainly like to applaud our member institutions for working toward addressing their communities and the demands of the state of Louisiana. There's a lot of innovation going on and really embracing this new opportunity of an accelerated bachelor's degree. Comes with challenges because you have to really rethink curriculum to make sure you don't dilute the integrity of the degree, but what are the best 90 hours to help our students complete, get out in the workforce, go on to graduate school, Pharm D as Dr. Jackson just asked about. So with the approval of these plans that were presented, and thank you to our chief academic officers for doing so, this will allow them the opportunity to go back to their campuses and work on full proposals. A lot of work involved in that. And so over the course of the next year, you will see the campuses come forward with proposals for full consideration. But we wanted to make sure that you understood what flavor was going on in regards to what activity there will be coming forward for the coming year. So with that, that concludes the agenda, Supervisor Stevens, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. O'Rourke, and for all those that just presented. Members, no one requires further clarification. I'd like to recommend approval of items F1 and F2. May I have a motion, please? Ms. Leatherman made the motion. Can I have a second? Mr. Busada? Are there any questions from members of the board or any comments from members of the board? Any comments from the public? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the motion's approved and there's no other business before the committee at this time. Next up is athletics, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Chair Myers will address the athletic committee items at this time.
Thanks, Supervisor Myers, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and the board. The campuses are requesting approval for the following consent items. Item G1, Grambling State University's request for approval for a contract with Alonzo Banks, men's and women's track and field cross-country coach. Item G2, Grambling State University's request for approval for a contract with Jessica Hurtado, head softball coach. Item G3, Grambling State University's request for approval of a contract with Christopher Logan, head soccer coach. Item G4, Louisiana Tech University's request for approval of a contract with Brooke Storr, head women's basketball coach. Item G5 from Louisiana Tech, their request for approval of a contract with Haley McClintock, assistant track and field coach. Item G6, Louisiana Tech University's request for approval of a contract with Adam Schwartz, assistant men's basketball coach. Item G7, McNeese State University's request for approval of a contract with Bernard Viator, head football coach. Item G8, from McNeese State University's request for approval of a contract with Justin Hill, head baseball coach. Item G9, from Nicholls State University, their request for approval of a contract with Darian Brown, head men's basketball coach. Item G10, from Northwestern State University, their request for approval of a contract with Jason Anderson, head softball coach. Item G11, Southeastern University, their request for approval of a contract with Lawrence Allen, head golf coach. Item G12, also from Southeastern, their request for approval of a contract with Trent Partridge, head softball coach. Item G13, Southeastern, their request for approval of contracts with Evan Bush, associate baseball coach, Brennan Dumas, assistant women's basketball coach, and Spencer Godwin, assistant baseball coach. And then finally, item G14 from University of Louisiana at Monroe, their request for a contract with Corey Churchman, head men's golf coach. Those are all the consent items. Supervisor Myers and staff recommends approval. Our campus presidents are available if there are any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. If no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval of items G1 through G14. May I have a motion and a second? Move us. Second by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Are there any questions, comments from the board, or any comments from the public? The motion is approved. No, wait, I'll skip the vote, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Sorry about that. Is there any other business to come before the committee at this time? The next items to be considered are audit.
Thank you, Supervisor Myers. Chair Busada will lead audit at this time.
We have one discussion item on the audit committee agenda today. Mr. Fernando Cordova will provide a brief overview.
Thank you, Supervisor Busada, and good morning, members of the board, Chair Romero, President Gallo. Yes, we do have one discussion item on the agenda today. It's item H1, which is the University of Louisiana System report on internal and external audit activity for the period of June 2nd to August 5th, 2026. The listing of internal and external reports completed by various auditors since the last audit committee meeting has been made available in Onboard. Also included in that audit summary are internal audits that are currently in progress and a follow-up timetable to ensure recommendations made in prior reports are implemented. And this is a report only and no action by the board is necessary. And that concludes the presentation of agenda items. Mr. Busada.
Thank you for your presentation. If any member has a question or wishes to discuss any item, please let me know. There are no questions. I believe Mr. Cordova would like to introduce the team.
Thank you. Yes, this time I would like to take a few moments to introduce a newly expanded internal audit team for the University of Louisiana system. As you all aware, at the June 2026 meeting, it was announced that the internal auditors would be transferring from the campuses to the system. And so thanks to all the efforts of our staff, I'm pleased to inform you that the system internal audit team is now in place and present here with us today. I would like to recognize them individually as follows. We have Mr. Robert Grafton, who is one of our internal audit managers. He will be providing audit coverage for Louisiana Tech University and Grambling State University. We have Ms. Kim Fontenot, our other internal audit manager. She'll be providing audit coverage for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. We have Mr. Scott Dean as one of our senior auditors. He'll be providing internal audit coverage for McNeese State University. We also have Ms. Kaylin Lacoste, another one of our senior auditors, who will be providing internal audit coverage for Southeastern Louisiana University. We have our remaining senior auditor is Ms. Jasmine Shaw. She'll be providing audit coverage for the University of Louisiana Monroe. And we also have Mrs. Bethany Edwards, one of our staff auditors. She'll be providing audit coverage for Northwestern State University. And last but not least, we have Ms. Caitlin Westerman, our other staff auditor who will be providing audit coverage for Nichols State University. So please join me in welcoming them and applauding them for their ongoing work. As you all know, a robust, independent, and objective internal audit function is essential for strengthening the system and our member institutions' ability to create, sustain, and improve the value for our stakeholders, most importantly, our students. So our internal audit team brings diverse industry experience, technical expertise, and a shared commitment to integrity and operational excellence. So we thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working with all of you. I have no other business, Mr. Busada.
Thank you, Mr. Cordova, and thank you for putting this team together. And we know your work's so important. It's very important to us. And we look forward to working with you in a much more efficient and cost-effective manner and to help improve our universities. So thank you so much. This concludes the business of the Audit Committee. The next items to be considered are facilities planning.
Thank you, Supervisor Basada. At this time, Chair Jackson will lead the facilities planning presentations.
Yes, good morning, members. Before we move into facilities planning committee items, I'd like to ask Dr. Marcus Jones to come and introduce one of the UL System's newest team members.
Thank you, Supervisor Jackson. I'm pleased to introduce Chris Herring as the University of Louisiana System's new Vice President of Facilities, Capital Planning, and Development. So Chris joins us after nearly 20 years with the Board of Regents, bringing deep expertise in the state's capital outlay process and a strong understanding of the capital needs of our institutions. His longstanding relationship with all 8 institutions have already made the transition into this role remarkably smooth. Many of you met Chris through his work with the Regents, and I'm confident that those who have not met him will appreciate his collaborative approach as we continue advancing the mission of the University of Louisiana System. With that, Mr. Chair, I would like to invite Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Jones, and good morning, members. First, I'd just like to thank President Gallo, Dr. Jones, the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity to join the University of Louisiana System team. I'm excited to be here. I look forward to working with the board as we continue the work being carried out on behalf of our 8 institutions. I understand the vital role higher education plays in strengthening the state of Louisiana, and I'm energized and ready to get to work. I'd like to thank you again for placing your trust in me, and I look forward to working with each of you as we advance our mission together. So thank you.
All right. Well, welcome aboard, Chris. Members, we have 22 action items in the Facility Planning Committee agenda. Mr. Herring, will you please provide the report?
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Supervisor Jackson. Our campuses are requesting approval of the following consent items. For the campuses that have naming requests, the presidents have submitted the appropriate justification as required by our board rule for naming. Item I1 is a request from Louisiana Tech University to name laboratory spaces within Nethkin Hall, the Gale McGee Red Circuits Laboratory and Smoke Power Laboratory. Item I2 is a request from Louisiana Tech University to enter into a ground lease with the Louisiana Tech University Foundation to renovate a vacant building located at 818 California Avenue in Ruston. Upon completion of the first phase, the university's architecture program will participate in conjunction with the institution and the foundation leadership teams to develop and finalize the project scope. The total project cost is estimated to be $350,000 and will be funded with donations. Item I3 is also a request from Louisiana Tech to obtain an appraisal and pursue the sale of the university's undivided one-half interest in certain immovable property located in Rayville, Louisiana, including the residential property located at 212 Rhyme Street to the Rayville Methodist Church. The university and the Rayville Methodist Church each inherited one-half interest in the property through a succession, and the church has expressed interest in acquiring the university's interest in the property. Item I4 is a request from McNeese State University to name the physician suite in the Dow Doc Sports Medicine Center as a means of recognizing and honoring Dr. John Noble for his contributions to the McNeese Sports Medicine Department, as well as the athletic department as a whole, and authorize President Reese to approve the final design and placement of an honorary plaque. Item I5 is a request from Northwestern State University to rename the Health and Human Performance Building as the Kinesiology Building. The facility name change will align with the new School of Kinesiology. Item I6 is a request from Northwestern State to name a laboratory in the newly named Kinesiology Building, the Roper Biomechanics Movement Analysis Lab. Item I7 is a request from Southeastern Louisiana University to name the Welding Laboratory in Anzalone Hall the Performance Contractors Welding Technology and Inspection Laboratory for Industry Excellence. Item I8 is also a request from Southeastern to enter into a facilities lease with the Alliance Athletics Association for the purpose of installing new artificial turf in Alumni Field Stadium. The project cost is approximately $465,000 and will be funded through a loan to be paid for with private donations. The lease will terminate on January 31st of 27 or upon completion of the improvements. Item I9 is a request from Southeastern to list for sale an undeveloped parcel of land located near the Hammond Airport. This property is located 5 miles east of the main campus and has not been used by the university since their agriculture program was discontinued in the early 1980s. The current appraised value of the parcel is a little bit over 1.34 million. Should the property be zoned and or the conditional use of the property change prior to being sold, the appraisal will be updated to reflect said change and the appraised value will be adjusted accordingly. Item I-10 is a request from Southeastern to list for sale the Southeast Louisiana Business Center office building. This property is a 16,883 square foot, 2-story office building located in Hammond. The offices currently housed within the facility are proposed to be moved in the university's new College of Business building. The appraised value of this parcel is a little over $1.6 million, and the proceeds for the sale will be used to support Southeastern's expansion and renovation for a new College of Business building. Item I-11 is a request from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette to designate the Louisiana Baseball Clubhouse facility as the Rance Family Baseball Performance Center. Item I-12 is also a request from UL to designate an office within the new Student Center Collaborative Engineering Building as the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers Student Organizations Office. I-13 is a request from UL to name a suite within the new Regional Simulation Center, the Reynolds Broussard Maternal Child Simulation Suite. I-14 is a request from UL to name a laboratory within the Maternal Child Simulation Suite as the Susan Desser Reynolds Pediatric Learning Lab. I-15 is a request from UL to name another laboratory within the Maternal Child Simulation Suite as the Brenda Broussard and Dr. Ann Broussard Maternity Learning Lab. I-16 is a request from UL to name its baseball stadium complex as Tony Robichaud Park. Item I-17 is a request from UL to name its baseball stadium club as the Russo Stadium Club. I-18 is a request from the University of Louisiana at Monroe to rename Malone Stadium as the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System St. Francis Stadium to be known as FMOL St. Francis Stadium. The naming rights are part of a sponsorship agreement for an initial 3-year period. And to preserve and recognize Coach James Malone's legacy, the university plans to install a permanent commemorative plaque within the stadium. I-19 is also a request from ULM to name the football team entrance tunnel within FMOL St. Francis Stadium as the Pat Mitchell Runway. I-20 is a request from ULM to rename Fant Ewing Coliseum as the B1 Bank Fant Coliseum. The university proposes retaining Lenny Fant's name in recognition of his legendary coaching career and enduring connection to the school and region. To preserve the legacy of Wilson Ewing, ULM will install a permanent commemorative plaque within the Coliseum. The naming rights are part of a sponsorship agreement for an initial 5-year period. I-21 is a request from ULM to name the head football coach's office patio as the Pat Collins Patio. And lastly, I-22 is the University of Louisiana System's request for approval of the fiscal year 27-28 capital outlay budget requests and each institution's accompanying 5-year capital outlay plans. The system office received 85 project requests for funding consideration in fiscal year 27-28. The plans have been submitted by each president after discussion with their staff to determine capital outlay needs for the next 5 years and were placed within on board for this meeting. Staff is recommending 40 of the 85 projects submitted by our institutions for fiscal year 27-28 funding. This includes a system-wide request for continued Act 751 deferred maintenance funding. And the total amount of the 27-28 request on behalf of the system is approximately $309 million, 50 of that being for continued Act 751 funding. At this time, I'd like to highlight briefly the PowerPoint presentation to provide some additional information and update the board on some important projects across the system. So this slide here just reflects basically the capital outlay timeline that shows what happens once the approval is given today. Then the next step is basically providing the list of projects to the Board of Regents, who will in turn consider those projects along with project requests from the other 3 systems, and that will be approved in October. The deadline for them to submit those items to the Division of Administrations is the 1st of November. And then typically in early 2027, early each year, we meet as a system with the Office of Facility Planning and Control to basically discuss cash flow needs and what impact that will have on the projects. Because as you know, the numbers we submit today will change in most instances between now and the next session. So it's mainly to identify options or possibilities to free up additional capacity that the state may use on additional projects. And then, of course, the legislative session begins next April, and that's where the legislation is hashed out that will fund these projects. The next slide just reflects the site visit schedule that's done each year. That you can see we have 6 of the 8 lined up. The other 2 we're working on, but you'll be receiving communications from us in terms of those dates as we get a little closer. And we encourage everyone to attend if they're able to do so in their area. The next few slides are just simply updates on projects that are going on at our campuses. So I have 2 from each institution to run through for you this morning. The first one here is from Grambling. This is an appropriation that was general in nature just to provide funding to do some roofing replacements, waterproofing, and envelope repairs. So these are 2 of the roofs that are being done. The School of Nursing should be advertised in the next 2 weeks. The athletics facility is something that's under design that was funded in the 2025 session. So the design work's underway, and that one is moving forward as well. The next one is George T. Madison Hall at Louisiana Tech. This is a facility that almost all their students pass through at some point in time. This one is under construction, and you can see it's estimated to be complete in March of 2027. The next item for Tech is a waterproofing and restoration project to Wiley Tower and Prescott Library. This is an emergency project in terms of the water intrusion issues the facility has. And this one is in House Bill 2, and they need a priority 2 line of credit from the Bond Commission this fall in order to advance this one. The next project is for McNeese State University. This was the rebuilding of their football stadium press box as a result of hurricanes over the past. This project was completed in August of last year and it's open. The next one is the Burton Business Center exterior mitigation and interior renovations on the McNeese campus. This is being funded through capital outlay. It is fully funded now, so the hopes are that it will bid by the second quarter of this year and get construction underway. Next project is at Go Hall at Nicholls State University. This is to do some exterior facade repairs at the campus, and this is an example of Act 751 deferred maintenance funds that were used to knock this project out. So a good example of how the deferred maintenance dollars are being used across our campuses. The next one at Nicholls is the new nursing building. This is a capital outlay project. As you can see, it's scheduled to open this fall. It's very close to completion. Next one is at Northwestern State University. This is Allos Hall. This was completed, at least a year ago, but it replaced, or improved on, the existing Kaiser Hall, which is another one of the facilities on campus that most students, appeared in at some point. So this one has been open and it's, a beautiful facility up in Natchitoches. And then the next one is the Health Performance Center. This one's close as well. As you can see, this was a capital outlay project along with some self-generated dollars. The institution contributed to the project. The next one is at Southeastern. This is the Baton Rouge Nursing Center renovation. This is a capital outlay funded. The institution contributed some funds as well. And the expectation is that this project will be bidding this fiscal year. Here's another example at Southeastern of 751 in deferred maintenance dollars. This was a larger project for deferred maintenance money to replace the laboratory ventilation system and fume hoods at Pursley Hall. So again, another example of why continued deferred maintenance funding is critical for our institutions. Next, we have Foster and DeCluitt Hall at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. These are both capital outlay projects. They're underway and should be complete in the spring of next year. The next one is Madison Hall, also at University of Louisiana Lafayette. This is another capital outlay project. This one is also underway and anticipated to be complete in the summer of 2027. And the last two projects involve the University of Louisiana Monroe. The first one is the Sugar Hall renovation. This was a $25 million capital outlay project. It just opened for the start of classes this semester. And this one was a long time coming. It spent a lot of time in the capital outlay bill before it made it to completion. So it's exciting. And the final one is the School of Construction Practice Lab, also on the ULM campus. This is another capital outlay project that is funded and has started construction, and they anticipate it will be done in the summer of 2027. So that is my brief run through all that. And it concludes the presentation of the consent item, Supervisor Jackson. Staff recommends approval. As was mentioned, our campus presidents are available should you have any questions. Thank you.
Chris, thanks for that long presentation. If no further clarification is needed, I'd like to recommend approval of items I-1 through I-22. May I have a motion in a second?
I will make that motion.
All right. Second by Posada, Supervisor Posada. All right. Okay. Are there any additional matters before the committee? All right. Well, in that case, we would, I would ask that, all in favor for the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right, the motion is approved. If there's no other business in front of this committee, the next item of consideration is finance.
Thank you, Chair Jackson. Mr. Herring, do you think we needed you? You feel needed right now? Glad to have you. Thank you and welcome aboard. And we look forward to a very productive relationship. I know you're going to raise the standards here. All right. We'll move on to finance. Chair Hogan will lead the finance agenda this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 7 agenda items on the Finance Committee agenda. 6 are consent items and 1 is a discussion item. Mr. Eddie Mesh, Vice President for Business and Finance, and Mr. Josh Benoit, Budget and Finance Manager, will provide the report. Eddie?
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Item J1, Grambling State University's request for approval of an amendment to the lease agreement for a 10-month extension of the university's bookstore lease and management services with Barnes & Noble College Bookstore Sellers, LLC. Grambling State University requests approval of a 10-month extension of its lease agreement with Barnes & Noble from September 1, 26 to June 30, 27. The amendment maintains the existing financial terms and updates notice provisions and inventory purchase requirements. Upon termination or expiration, Grambling would be responsible for purchasing certain remaining store and rental inventory under the terms of the agreement amendment. Item J2, McNeese State University's request for approval to amend the tuition and fee increase plan previously approved by the University of Louisiana system under Act 790. McNeese State University requests approval to amend its previously approved Act 790 tuition and fee plan. McNeese proposes to forego the previously approved differential tuition increases and instead implement an equivalent inflationary adjustment fee beginning fall 26. The change maintains the original revenue objective while applying the increase uniformly across student groups. The proposed change remains within the 10% cumulative tuition and mandatory fee increase limit for the 2-year period. Item J3, Southeastern Louisiana University's request for approval to retain Cash, Coudrain, and Bass for professional legal services. Cash, Coudrain, and Bass would be engaged to review contracts and general legal consultation involving normal operational disputes associated with running a university and other matters that do not require expertise of system attorneys. The contract is a term of 1 year from July 1, 26 to June 30, 27. The contract is capped at $30,000, including fees and expenses, with legal services billed at rates authorized by the Attorney General in accordance with PPM 50. Item J4, Southeastern Louisiana's request for approval to retain Jones Walker LLP for professional legal services. Jones Walker would be engaged to act as special counsel to advise the university with respect to intellectual property matters. Counsel's representation may include the preparation, filing, and prosecution of 1 or more U.S. patent applications with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, as well as associated license matters. The contract is a term of 1 year from July 1, 26 to June 30, 27. The contract is capped at $30,000, including fees and expenses, with legal services billed at rates authorized by the Attorney General in accordance with PPM 50. Item J5, Southeastern Louisiana request for the approval to retain Sun Sovereign LLC, DBA Ware Immigration, and Elaine Kimbrell, attorney at law for professional legal services. Sun Sovereign and Elaine Kimbrell would be engaged as legal counsel to assist with the employment of aliens in faculty positions, including but not limited to preparing, processing related forms to be submitted to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, the U.S. Department of Labor, and/or the State Department of Employment and Training necessary to secure appropriate visas and work permits. The contract is a term of 1 year, July 1 to 26 to June 30, 27. Contract is capped at $30,000, including fees and expenses, with legal services billed at rates authorized by the Attorney General in accordance with PPM 50.
Hello. Okay. Sorry. I'll start back over.
Item J6, University of Louisiana Systems request for approval of fiscal year 26-27 operating budgets, including organizational charts, undergraduate and graduate mandatory attendance fees, scholarships, and system shared costs. Annually, as part of the budget process, institutions submit their budget information to the system, including their operating budget, revenues and expenditures, mandatory attendance fees, employee information, scholarships, and other information. The system compiles the budget information to create the University of Louisiana System Budget Summary. This slide shows the system's budget summary, which reflects budgeted revenues and budgeted expenditures. Effective July 1st, 2026, the University of New Orleans joined the LSU system. UNO's removal results in a reduction of $48 million in state funds and $65 million in self-generated revenue. This will be reflected in red on the bar charts later. State appropriations include state general funds, statutory dedications, and non-recurring line item appropriations. For the current fiscal year, state appropriations to the UL systems total $317.6 million, an increase of $26 million. UL system institutions received $22 million in non-recurring HB1 line item appropriations. Notable allocations include $5 million for the ULM pharmacy program and $4 million for Louisiana Tech's conference realignment. In addition, Act 312, the supplemental appropriation bill, provided $2.1 million to UL system institutions. UL system is grateful for the governor and the Louisiana legislature for these additional investments, which will help the institutions address critical needs and advance their missions. The self-generated revenue budget of the remaining UL system institutions increased by $11 million. This increase is due to the change in enrollment and fees budgeted by self-generated revenues. Budgeted self-generated revenues represent spending authority and does not necessarily reflect actual revenue collections. Budget allocations for the expense generally remained relatively stable when compared to FY 2026. Budgeted expenditures increased by 3.48%. The most notable increase was to other charges, which was increased by $11.8 million. This was mostly for scholarships and the Louisiana Tech conference realignment. The funding mix. Next slide, please. The funding mix remains relatively unchanged from FY 2025 or 26. Self-generated revenue represents approximately 67% of the total revenue, while state funds represents approximately 33%. Total revenue decreases by approximately $74.7 million from $1 billion to $957.8 million. That's reflecting UNO's departure from the system. Compared with the adjusted FY 26 budget shown in red, total revenue increased by $37.2 million or 3.48%. Self-generated revenue decreased by approximately $53.8 million from $694 million to $640 million, reflecting UNO's departure. Compared with the adjusted FY 25 budget or 26 budget shown in red, self-generated revenues increased by $11 million or 0.93%. State funds decreased by approximately $21.2 million from $338.5 million to $317.3 million. That's reflecting UNO's departure. Compared with the adjusted FY 26 budget, state funds increased by $28 million or 9%. Average tuition and fees increased by approximately $137 for the academic year, from $9,500 to $9,637, or about a 1.45% increase. The increase is driven primarily by an increase in the tuition and fees. This pie chart shows expenditure percentage allocation. Personnel services represents approximately 68% of the total expenditures. The remaining 32% consists of other charges at 20%, operating expenses at 11%, and acquisitions and major repairs at 1%.
acted during the most recent to strengthen financial accountability and fiscal oversight of Louisiana's public higher education systems. The act requires the Board of Regents to establish a uniform fiscal policy and implement an early warning system using quarterly financial reporting to monitor institutional financial condition and identifying potential financial stress at the earliest possible stage. The early warning system will identify instructions experiencing financial concerns, including structural deficits and cash balances below 60 days of operating expenses. The UL system and its institutions will be required to comply with the minimum fiscal standards established by Act 772 and Board of Regents policy. Key reporting requirements include revenues and expenditures compared to budget, actual and projected operating deficits and other financial risks, unrestricted, restricted, auxiliary, and athletics fund balances, and cash flow and liquidity metrics, including identification of institutions with cash balances below 60 days of operating expenses. In addition to the operating fund budgets, campuses have provided the system with supplemental budget information. Supplemental budget information include budgets after removal of excess budget authority, unrestricted non-operating fund surpluses or deficits, and fund balance reserves. In general, campus supplemental budget information is showing campuses have balanced FY27 operating fund budgets after removal of excess budget authority. For non-operating funds, some campuses project relatively healthy surpluses, while others project current year deficits and fund balance deficits, mostly caused by athletics deficits. This completes the finance consent agenda items, Mr. Hogan. Staff recommends approval of items J1 through J6.
Thank you, Eddie, and thank you, Josh. Just one other quick observation when I was looking through the presentation. So comparing fiscal year 26 actual to projected fiscal year 27 budget, the self-generated funds are budgeted to increase by 81 million. That not budget to budget, but actual to next year or this year's budget now. And then the personnel spending is expected to go up by 43 million. So just as a quick observation too, and more make sure my colleagues understand that you're being asked to approve a budget that shows a self-generated fund increase of 81 million with personnel increases of 43 million actual to budget, not budget to budget, but true spending to projected budget for 27. That sound about right, Eddie?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions for Eddie before we move to call for a motion?
Mr. Hogan, I have a question for Eddie. Item J1, what's the rationale for a 10-month extension of a contract or lease agreement?
Well, it starts later at the beginning of the academic year and then goes to basically the end of the academic year, June 30, but it's pretty close.
And they're negotiating the terms of a new lease agreement going forward?
It would be one year at a time. So unless it's amended, it would go under those terms.
Okay. Any other questions for Eddie?
I only had a question about, we were going to have a finance committee meeting this morning, and I was kind of excited about really diving in. I think that these budgets have to be decided today. Am I correct? I mean, if they're not, what happens?
Yes, we had legal counsel look at that. And if a budget is not approved, then it may preclude the institutions from receiving state appropriations and spending those appropriations. And so it's important that those budgets are.
But what if there's a delay in approval? Like if instead of approving it at this meeting, we approve it at a subsequent meeting?
That's just uncharted territory. I'm told that it would be a month to month. And if what we understand is that would not include appropriations to those universities. I realize that these budgets are approved 2 months during the fiscal year, before the fiscal year, after the fiscal year begins. But this is a normal process and it hasn't proved to have any problems in the past. If it were to extend it further into the future, I'm not sure what impact that would have on our campuses. Because it has not happened. That
So they could have been approved like 2 months ago before the fiscal year starts?
we wouldn't know the revenues that the institutions would be getting at that point in time. It depends on the completion of the legislative session and the timing of the board meetings. And historically, since I can remember, it's always been the August meeting where that occurs.
Yeah, I feel like but it's fine. I mean, I'll vote to approve them this year, but I'd like to have some more time and some more ability to really dig in, and ask questions. Because I think we're at a point where that sort of questioning and transparency and gets really, really important. So I hope that for next year we can really, or whatever the next interval, I'm sure it's not until next year though.
Well, we hope to provide the board with, as the year progresses, good quarterly report information and see where the campus stand, from what they predict will happen, including cash balances. We added another iteration to our quarterly report that will be tracking cash. The campuses will basically set a goal for cash improvement, and we will be tracking that, whether they're ahead or behind their goal, and report that to the board to let you know how they're doing.
And that's real helpful. I think that we all need really to look at these financials and as questions come up, because for me, some of the things that would help would be comparatives between last year and this year to understand, like you can look at the numbers, but without those kind of analysis, it's hard to tell what they really mean sometimes.
A basis of comparison.
Exactly.
Or just taking cash, for example, we have history now of every month of the fiscal year and the average cash that they had last year. So we're going to be comparing to that number to averages as we go forward to see if they're ahead or behind, and also whether they're on pace with achieving their targets. We can call it target.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really glad we've made that change, and I'm glad that we've done the, centralized audit function. I think we're on our way, but there's still some more ground to cover. So anyway, I appreciate your candor. Thanks.
And Supervisor Stokes, I certainly appreciate your leadership in bringing us in a direction that would offer more engagement on the board's part. I can certainly say that we're more engaged than we ever have been. I'm not suggesting that we're at an optimum level, but please keep continuing your effort to cause us to be more involved. I do think that the reporting steps will assure that we're more attentive to our fiduciary duties to the state. And I believe certainly that we'll be a lot more engaged in preventing financial pitfalls. The budget process, I received an email in the last 24 hours from one of our campuses. So I certainly would say that I know we have a constitutional duty to move this forward. However, your influence and your constant interest in this area is well received. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I'd like to see us be able to have more, like for that committee in particular, really to be able to have committee meetings. I was so excited about the opportunity to really dig in. So at any rate, I won't belabor it, but I would love to see us be able to really dig in and understand what's going on at these schools, because I think they need us, whether they know it or not, I think.
And I would offer that let's maybe keep our heads together and see if a post-approval engagement might be wanted in the future.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Okay, Eddie, just one quick follow-up. You referenced the days cash on hand quarter over quarter. Thank you for that you initiated that during the year, and we do look forward to that in continuance. Given the $81 million projected revenue increase for self-generated funds this year versus fiscal 26, can you please add that as a reporting item, institution by institution, quarter over quarter, in terms of whether they're on track and whether they're not, and also the personnel spend that's included, also the $43 million personnel spend.
Yes, sir.
I think those two data elements would be helpful to us to
Just
really
for
track.
clarification, revenue that's budgeted, it's not necessarily the monies that they're going to receive. So it could include some contingency money.
Right.
And so it may not be exactly 81 million. It could be less.
Okay. Okay, I understand, and that's the reason we want to track it, because personnel costs are also budgeted to be roughly half that, so it'd be good for us to know kind of how we stand actual versus budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right. No one requires further clarification. I'd like to recommend approval of items J1 through J6. May I have a motion and a second? So moved. Supervisor Pierre, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Myers. Are there any further questions or comments from the board or any comments from the public? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Eddie, thanks for all your great work. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Privilege and pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 49-220.24 and 49-220.25, the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System may meet in executive session with the Inspector General. The board may meet pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42-17 and others. While in executive session, the board may not make any motions or take any votes. May I have a motion and a second to go into executive session?
So moved.
Supervisor Stevens, second.
I'll second.
Second by Chair Romero. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Busada, Mr. Davison, Mr. Furby, Mr. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, Ms. Lampkin, Dr. Leatherman, Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Ms. Pierre, Mr. Romero,
Yes.
Mr. Salim, Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Ms. Stokes. It's passed.
Okay, thank you. The board will now adjourn to room 165. Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System met in executive session to meet with Inspector General privileged pursuant to LA Revised Statute 4949-220.24 and 49-220.25. Upon executive session, no motions were made nor votes taken. Is there a motion to reconvene in open session?
So moved.
All right. Got 'em? You need a roll call for that, Carol? Nope. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the Legislation Committee.
Thank you, Chair Hogan. Let's go to the nomination.
Turn it on. We have one discussion item on the legislation agenda today. Rich Vath will provide a brief report on the 2026 session. Mr. Vath?
Thank you, Supervisor Stokes, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and members of the board. On Monday, June 1st, we marked the conclusion of the 2026 regular session of the Louisiana State Legislature. The legislature, with the leadership of Senator President Mike Reese, appropriated an additional $56 million into higher education to be distributed to institutions per the allocation percentages of the funding formula, which was new for 2027. This resulted in an additional $18.7 million for UL system institutions for this current year. The Senate also passed SR 172, which creates the Legislative Higher Education Funding and Formula Task Force, charged with re-examining the Board of Regents funding formula in advance of the 2027 regular legislative session. President Gallo, a member of that task force and chaired by Senator President Mike Reese, and system leadership will be closely following that work over the coming year. That task force met for the first time this week. System staff are also working diligently with campus leadership to enact necessary policy and process changes as a result of the more than 49 new laws and resolutions that impact higher education after the session. This includes, but is not limited to, areas such as hazing, sexual misconduct, mental health, student tuition and fees, as well as an evaluation of athletic sustainability. Once finalized, new and updated PPMs will be shared as part of the system's president report at an upcoming board meeting. A complete report of the legislative session and our after-action work can be found on Onboard. Thank you, Supervisor Stokes. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that presentation. First, are there any questions or comments from the board? Any from the public? I am excited to see the conclusions of the funding formula committee, so Godspeed on that. I would also ask, are there any other business to come before the committee at this time? Thank you. That concludes the business of the legislation committee, and I think we move on to personnel.
Thank you, Supervisor Stokes. Chair Salim will address personnel matters at this time.
Ms. Jackson will present the item report. Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Salim. The campuses are requesting approval of the following consent items. I'll be quick. L1, McNeese State University requests for approval to appoint Dr. Renee Malvo as Dean of Student Success effective July 1st, 2026. And these are all the items for consideration. She's not here.
If no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval of items of L1. May I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second by. All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other business to come before the committee? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Salim. President Gallo will provide the president's report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Campus and system personnel actions were made available on board for your review. Staff has reviewed all of these requests and recommends approval. Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for a motion and second to approve those.
So you have the personnel actions presented to you. At this time, does anybody have the consideration for a motion and a second? Motion by Supervisor Stevens, second by Supervisor Salim. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Earlier during the facilities planning portion of the meeting, you were introduced to Chris Herring, who has begun work in our office managing our facilities. Additionally, Katie Harrell is now in our office, who's working as governance and compliance coordinator. Prior to joining UL System, she worked for the Southern University System in the Office of the General Counsel. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce two additional members of our system team who are no strangers to the University of Louisiana System. Renee Hicks has joined us as an Associate Vice President for Strategy and Analytics. She comes from Nichols State University with nearly 30 years of experience in institutional research and effectiveness, enrollment management, and accreditation support. Kazu Mai has joined us as Principal Data Warehouse Architect and System Business Intelligence Lead. Kazu comes from the University of New Orleans and brings a distinct technical skill set in data integration, warehousing, reporting, and business intelligence. Together, they bring an exceptional combination of institutional knowledge and technical expertise. I don't think we could have assembled a better team to help us build greater system-wide capacity around data, analytics, institutional research, and decision support, and most importantly, strengthen the support we provide to our university. So I'd like to welcome all of our new team members. In the coming weeks, a self-evaluation survey will be sent to the board members through the onboard platform to comply with our board bylaws and SAC COC requirements. The survey should take less than 10 minutes to complete and will ask for your feedback on areas such as board organization, orientation, and ongoing education, fiduciary oversight, and overall effectiveness. It is important that we hear from every board member so that we can understand where we are doing well and where we have opportunities to improve. Last year, we had 100% participation, and I would hope that we can continue that tradition. So please reach out if you have any questions or need any assistance with the surveys once they are uploaded. Before I go into an update on the ULS United, I asked President Reese if he would come and give a brief update as he wears his dual role as Senator Reese, who's chairing the task force studying the funding formula, as well as our president of McNeese. So President Reese, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Chairman, and board members. I'll be brief, but just wanted to hit some of the highlights that were brought up in our first commission meeting earlier this week. The meeting lasted about 3 hours, and there's some robust questions and answers and debate going on between our members of the legislature that were there, members of higher education that were on the panel as well, and our presenters, which I think is what we wanted to foster. We wanted to foster more interest by the legislature and more education from the legislature and other members about how this formula is impacting higher ed. A few factors that were brought up that I'd like to share with the board. In 2009, state support accounted for about $1 billion. By 2015, it had reduced to about $483 million. In this most recent fiscal year, we saw the largest increase we had had in 20 years in the formula when it was increased to $691 billion. As you all know, the Act 462 of 2014 created this outcome-based portion of the formula. The current formula is designed to reward results aligned to the workforce and does not use a per pupil rate, and it differentiates between 2 and 4 years, supports continued progression, retention, and completion. The formula was last reviewed in 2024. It was adopted in January of 2025, but then 2 standstill budgets later, it had really not had an impact necessarily on the distribution of funds. It wasn't until this year when we had the increase in funding that you're seeing that 30% outcome-based portion of it actually having some impact. Some of the other interesting stats shared by Board of Regents were underfunded by about $800 billion as it pertains to the formula, what the formula would predict we needed. Also, an interesting stat that I pulled was that 60 cents of every $1 that our universities receive in state funding is paid back to the state. in terms of mandatory obligated costs, mandated costs by the institutions, including all sources of funding, such as TOPS and adjusted for student population. Louisiana has the 5th lowest funding in the United States. The State Higher Education Executive Officers Association also made a presentation. They pointed out some federal issues. 41.7% of our Louisiana undergrads received Pell Grants. That's above the national average, which is 32.4%, but it leaves Louisiana very, very vulnerable to changes at the federal level in terms of that funding. And there are multiple instruments moving through Congress now that could impact Pell funding going forward in a negative way. So I think we have to be very cognizant of that. The other issue that they pointed out was the impacts of Medicaid, federal support for Medicaid to the states as part of the Big Beautiful Bill, which is $1 trillion reduction over 10 years, with the biggest portions of that reduction happening in the last 5 years, the out years. But in Louisiana, as Stokes certainly can attest to, as well as President Gallo, we don't, higher education is not protected in the Louisiana Constitution from a funding standpoint. So that we have competing interests that are still vital to our citizens, like our share of Medicaid costs and healthcare costs, got to be a bill payer for them. And so to the extent more of that is shifted to the state, we have to be cognizant of that and also be a headwind to the way we fund higher education. So we discussed that as well. I think it was interesting that our full-time equivalent adjusted funding is about half that of other southern states and less than half that of the national average. Public Affairs Research Council, PAR, also provided some commentary to us in much aligned in the same way in terms of talking about historical funding of higher ed in Louisiana. They did point to the total enrollment that has been climbing since FY21 for 2 years and 4 years, but then also provided the information that shows the dramatic decline in K through 12 student enrollment over that same period of time, which will certainly be a headwind to enrollment. And then we'll start to schedule now, looking for dates, schedule in October. I think these next meetings will drill in deeper to the data that we're using for these the outcome portions of the budget. And a lot of that is employment data. A lot of that's wage data. And so we'll have Louisiana Works coming in to talk about how they aggregate that data, where they get it from, how much we, trying to test the validity of that data when you start really regionalizing it to make sure that our, what we're requiring of our universities and what we're measuring in their outcomes for the amount of money that our degree earners are receiving, and how that drives the formula that we all agree on how that data is being created. We'll also have LED there to talk about job forecasting. We have a lot of opportunity in this state, as you all know, with all the recent announcements that have occurred that require a lot of our member institutions to be able to pivot to meet that growth. We certainly don't want to fall behind in that effort, and we want to make sure we're getting proper forecasting data to do that as well. And then at the next meeting, we'll also start receiving testimony from system presidents and the other campus presidents that can speak to specific problems that they have with the formula, suggestions that they have for ways we could improve it going forward. And then again, continuing to talk with our legislative colleagues on the panel about how they can be more supportive to address some of these needs. So with that, Mr. President, I'm happy to.
Any questions for President Reese? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now shifting to ULS United. Of course, that's our integration and transformation process that we internally have now labeled ULS United. It is our systemness initiative that began with last November's board resolution to strengthen each of our universities by preserving their distinctive missions while harnessing the system's collective capacity to accomplish what no institution can achieve alone. We did not begin this work with a predetermined list of recommendations. Instead, we want to hear directly from our campus communities and use what we learn to inform any recommendations we subsequently bring to the board. This work formally began last November with the board's resolution to study the feasibility of a more fully integrated, data-driven university system. After engaging our partners at the National Association of Higher Education Systems, or NASH, We updated the board in January and convened the first meeting of the System Integration and Transformation Task Force in February at McNeese. In the spring, we began planning for a study that would create meaningful opportunities for campus voices to be heard while being mindful of the demands already on our campuses. This summer, NASH began interviewing campus stakeholders, system leadership, board members. The work will continue through the fall and will inform the report NASH ultimately presents to the system leadership in the late fall. Our partners from NASH, Dr. Jim Johnson and Dr. Carleen Van Zandt, will continue their interviews and focus groups in the coming days and weeks. To date, they have spoken with more than 50 people representing our board, presidents, system leadership, and our campuses. With the additional interviews and focus groups planned, we expect that number to exceed 100 conversations across the system. In late September, we will launch a survey that will give members of our campus communities an opportunity to participate. That survey will extend beyond our campuses to include students, faculty, staff, alumni, donors, and community leaders. These conversations are giving our campuses and community stakeholders an opportunity to tell us what is working, where there are challenges, and where they see opportunities for us to work better together. While the work is still underway and no recommendations have been finalized, we are beginning to hear some common themes. These include shared services for things like travel, procurement, and enterprise IT, shared processes for things like cross-system research support, online academic programs, and transfer pathways, streamlined governance in areas such as financial reporting. We look forward to providing additional updates at our October and December board meetings. Let me pause and see if there are any questions from any members of the board. Okay. All right, upcoming training. Once again this year, an in-person ethics training session with Greg Thibodeau from the Board of Ethics has been scheduled in conjunction with our October board meeting. If your schedule permits, I encourage you to participate. This will satisfy your annual ethics trainings requirement. And Mr. Chairman, I believe that concludes my report.
Thank you, President Gallo. Earlier today, we welcomed our newest board member, Mr. Ryan Furby. He will serve on the Academic and Student Affairs, Athletic, Facilities Planning, and Finance Committees, and will also serve as Vice Chair of Academics. Christine Russell will take over as Vice Chair of Facilities Planning. Included and on board under our resources is the updated standing committees listing for the remainder of the year. Thank all of you for agreeing to serve in those capacities. I want to thank Nelnet for sponsoring the reception last evening that was held at Longview. Certainly want to recognize it as historic home of Ms. Earl K. Long. We truly appreciate having the ability for opportunities for board members and others to gather together and connect, as well as learn about some of the partnerships we enjoy. Longview is very much an appropriate venue for that evening. We are currently in the process of finalizing next year's schedule and will circulate as soon as possible. Some of the conversations earlier may help us reflect on certain intervals of meetings, and hopefully we can keep a fairly good order. Our next board meeting will be held in Baton Rouge on October 22nd. Please remember that ethics training opportunities will be available at that time. If there's any business that comes before the board, hearing none, I'll accept Supervisor Furby's motion to adjourn. Thank you. We stand